Warning, if you were born before the year 2000, some, if not most of the opinions in this video will irritate you. Viewer discretion is advised. Alright, so today we're going to be ranking every single LEGO Castle set ever made. I've taken all of the sets I could find on Brickset and compiled them into this chronological list. We've got everything from ninjas to Vikings. There are around 230 different sets to rank here. This is completely unscripted, so we're just going to jump into it. To start it all off, we have the Yellow Castle. This is obviously a very unique set with the color scheme, and the layout kind of set the standard for what LEGO Castles would eventually become. Because of all these reasons, I'm going to put this one solidly into the B tier. In the following year, we would get 3 more sets for LEGO Castle. We're now into 1979, and the set we have next is the Knight's Joust. This is honestly a really solid set for what it is. You have the very weird looking brick-built horses with the bardings, and the stadium for the king and queen, I think they are, looks pretty solid for the time. I'm gonna put this set in the C tier. It's not as good as the Yellow Castle, but it's not a bad set at all. And our next setup is the Knight's Procession. This is kind of a weird one, as it's basically a glorified minifigure pack with, it looks like 6 different minifigures, and a small cart with some random blocks inside. The build is nothing special, but I like the fact that you got a lot of figures in such a small and affordable set. For that, it's going to be going into the D tier. It's not bad, but it's nothing special. Our last set of 1979 is just simply called Castle Minifigures. You get 3 really basic looking knights, and I honestly don't really care much about this set. I'm just gonna put it in the F tier. Our next new set came a few years later in 1983 with Castle Figures. This is again just another very basic minifigure pack, so I'm gonna put it in the D tier. There's nothing special about it, but you do get some kind of cool and more unique looking knights, which I appreciate. Now, into 1984, we actually start to get some more sets again. We have another Castle Minifigures pack that I'm just going to put in the F tier, but now we're getting into some actually really good sets. Here we have the Siege Tower set. This set is one of the most classic sets I can think of when I think of the early years of LEGO Castle. You got a really nice basic wall and a really great black and brown siege tower. This is such a great set and one that I have always thought would make for a perfect remake in the modern era. This might be a little controversial to say, but I think this might be our first A tier set. It is so solid. I might be a little biased here because of my love for siege weapons, but this is a great set. Now, next up we have the Knight's Castle, which is our first Black Falcon Castle set. This is a very classic set, and we actually got a small homage to it a couple of years ago in a Walmart exclusive kind of weird set. I think this is a really solid set and a great introduction into the Black Falcons, so I'm going to put it just above the Yellow Castle in the B tier. To go along with the Black Falcon's castle, we also got a King's Castle for the Lion Knights. This is a pretty nice castle. It looks a lot larger than the Black Falcon one, and it's a nice set. I don't really have much to say about it. It's your standard LEGO Castle and didn't do anything that special. And for that, I'm just going to put it in the C tier. It's really nothing that special. Now, we're going to be noticing a little bit of a trend here in the early years. This is another minifigure pack, and while I would love to get some modern versions of these, they're just not that special to look back on with these kind of basic minifigures. Nothing special, it's going in the F tier, I'm sorry. Next up, we have the horse cart. This is again a pretty small set. You get a horse-drawn carriage and a couple of Lion Knight minifigures. It's a solid set, and I would love to get something like this in the modern era, so I can't fault it. It's gonna go in the C tier. Now, our next one up is just simply called Jousting Knights. You get 2 knights and 2 horses. It's very simple, but it's nice. It's decent. It's gonna go in the D tier. I don't have much to say about it. Next up, we have the Supply Wagon. Now, the peasantry is one of the things that is kind of undervalued in LEGO Castle. We didn't get a lot of it, and I believe this was the first peasant set that we ever got. So for that, I'm going to put it solidly into the C tier next to the previous wagon set. Here we have another siege weapon with the catapults. You got 2 Black Falcons and a kind of odd looking catapult, but I like it, so I'm going to put it in the B tier. I know it's a small set, but this is a really solid introduction into siege weapons, and it's a really small and affordable set for the time. And the long lineage of blacksmith sets has started with the blacksmith shop set. This is a super small set. You get a blacksmith and a crusader or lion knight, whatever you want to call them. I think this is an awesome set, and I think it's kind of overlooked when it comes to the larger history of blacksmiths. We obviously got the fan-made one in the early 2000s, I want to say, then the one in Kingdoms, and then the one in the Ideas system. This one is kind of forgotten, and for that, I'm going to put it in the B tier. I think it's really solid. Moving forward into 1985, we have the Black Knight's Treasure. You get a horse and a treasure chest on a wagon. This is kind of an odd looking set. I'm not really a big fan of it. I'm going to be putting it in the D tier. Next up is the Prisoner Convoy. You get a horse-drawn wagon with 4 horses, a peasant, a couple of lion knights. I think this is an awesome looking set. You get a ton of figures and horses, and while the wagon is really basic looking, I think it's decent for the time. So I'm going to be putting this one solidly into the C tier. And for our last set of 1985, we get another minifigure pack, but I think this is the best one that we've gotten so far. You get what looks like 3 different Lion Knights and 3 Black Falcons with different accessories and shields. This is a solid set. I'm going to be putting this one into the C tier. We are now into 1986 with the Siege Cart. Small carts like this were really common in LEGO Castle and kind of still are up until even the era of LEGO Kingdoms in the 2010s. I think this one's okay, but it's nothing special, so I'm going to put it in the D tier. Now here we have another peasant set with the Maiden's Cart. This was a small horse-drawn cart with a peasant woman and a guard. I think it's pretty solid, so I'm going to put it in the D tier. Kind of to go along with the blacksmith, we got an armory shop. You got a nice little armor shop with a red overhang, a lion knight on a horse, and a stand with a bunch of different weapons, helmets, and shields for sale. I think this is really solid, so I'm going to put it right next to the blacksmith shop in the B tier. Okay, now we have one of the more iconic sets from the 80s with the Guarded Inn. This one, I mean, people have talked about it to death, but the red Tudor walls and the castle walls next to it just made for such a unique looking set, and it honestly is shaped really well, and I think it even stands up today. We of course just got a kind of homage to this in the medieval town square. This is a great set. I'm going to be putting this one in the A tier. Next up, we have the Black Falcon's Fortress. This is probably my favorite of the Black Falcon classic sets. You got the yellow Tudor wall in the back and the 2 large towers in the front with the blue flags everywhere. This is just a great looking set. You got a ton of Black Falcon minifigures in it and a decent looking castle. I know that a ton of people that grew up with this set had to have loved it, and it was probably their favorite set that they had. This set I think might be in contention for our first S tier set, but for now I'm going to put it in the A tier. We're now moving into 1987, and we have the Knight's Arsenal. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a fan of this set at all. The kind of tubes in the back of the wagon just don't look right. I kind of get what they were going for with it, but I don't like it. I'm gonna put it in the F tier. Now for our first LEGO Castle boat, we have the King's Orman. Now this is a really kind of small set. It almost looks kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you. The sails in the middle look not great, and the overall shaping is just pretty mediocre. But it was our first time getting a medieval boat, so for that I'm going to put it at the top of the D tier. Next up, we have the Castle Guard. You got a tent, at least what I think is a tent, with a guard and a knight on horseback. I think this is a really solid set, and it almost reminds me of a knight at a tournament with his squire coming out of a tent. I think it's just a really cool set, so I'm going to put it in the C tier. Continuing with the medieval boats, we have the Viking Voyager. You get a ton of Lion Knight minifigures in this set, but unfortunately have that same kind of tubed design on the back of the boat. I just don't like it. I get what they were going for with it as it being kind of a cover, but I just don't think it works. And it definitely doesn't hold up today. For that, I'm gonna put it in the F tier. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people really like this set. Now we have the Battering Ram set. This one is very similar to the previous Siege Tower set, but this time we have a Black Falcon wall section and a Lion Knight Battering Ram Siege Tower combo. I think this is a really cool set. It's not as good as the Siege Tower one that came before it, but it's definitely really solid, so I'm going to put it again into the A tier. And now we have the introduction of the Forestmen. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the Forestmen, but for a first introduction to them, I think this is a really solid set. You get some of the hidden functions in the cave under the tree, and you also got a ton of minifigures, which is really nice to see. This is a solid set, and one of the better Forestmen sets in my opinion, so I'm going to put it into the B tier. We now enter 1988 with the Black Monarch's Castle. This was our first time seeing the Black Knights faction, and I think this was a great introduction to them. It was our first time getting a all-black castle with some gray accents, and we also got these bardings that just look fantastic. The Black Knights have some really basic minifigures, but I've always said that their sets are some of the best out there. This one is an easy A tier for me. It's even going above the Black Falcon's Castle. Next up, we've got yet again another castle minifigure pack. This one's a decent one, and you get a lot of variation in it, so I'm going to put it in the D tier. It's not the worst, but it's not the best. And now we have the Knights Challenge. This is our second time getting a tournament set, but now with the newer horse molds and the bardings. The stand for the royalty of the Knights Challenge is actually worse, I think, than the first set that we got, but the tournament itself as a set is so much better, so I'm going to put it right next to the original set. It's gonna go just above it though. Next up we have the twin arm launcher, which is basically just a catapult, and you also get a horse with a barding. This is a decent set, so I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Okay, now we have the Forestman's Hideout, probably the most recognizable Forestman set out there, and we actually got a remake of it a couple of years ago in 2022. This is a great set, and it's revered in the castle community, so I think this one's gotta go into the B tier without any doubts. We are now closing the decade of the 80s in 1989 with the Smuggler's Hayride. This is another kind of peasant set. You get a forestman and the smuggler, I assume, with a wagon full of hay. This is a decent set that came at an affordable price, so I am a big fan of that. This one's going into the C tier. Next up, we have the Forestman's River Fortress. This is the inspiration to the Bricklink set that came out a couple of years ago, and while it's not obviously as good as that set, it's a really solid fortress, and I like the idea that they were going with here. I think the Wolfpack did this idea a lot better a couple of years later, so I'm gonna put this one in the D tier. We are finally now into the 90s, and we have the Crusaders cart up first. This set is a stolen Crusaders wagon with a couple of forestmen guiding it. I think this is a decent set. It's definitely a pretty lackluster build, so I'm gonna put it in the bottom of the C tier. Here we have the Battle Dragon, another Viking-inspired medieval boat with a couple of minifigures. This is a pretty basic set, but I like the idea of the dragon's head on the front of the boat, so I'm gonna put this one in the top of the D tier. Next up is the Black Monarch's Ghost. You got a very small little castle section with a ghost inside of it. I think this is a decent set, but again, there's not much to talk about here. It's a very small set. I'm gonna put this one in the C tier. Next up, we have the Dungeon Hunters set, which is another kind of jail cell wagon with a forestman that looks like he has been captured by the Lion Knights. I like the storytelling with the box art on this set, so just for that, I'm going to put this one into the C tier. I think it's a pretty solid one. Now here is a set that I didn't actually know existed until making this video. It is the Knights Stronghold, which is a Black Knights kind of castle section of a wall with the Black Falcons attacking it. I had never seen this set before diving onto Brickset to download all the pictures for this video, so I was kind of impressed by this one, to be honest with you. I really like this one. Getting these small castle wall sections with a siege weapon and two opposing forces is such a great idea, and I would hope that LEGO revisits this idea in the future because I think it's a really solid one. I'm actually going to put this one into the A tier. I really like this set a ton. Next up, we have the Forestman's Crossing. You get one of the classic Forestman black trees and a little fortress section with a drawbridge in the middle of the two. This is a fun set, and you get that printed baseplate that was so common back in the day. I think this is a decent set. I'm going to put it in the B tier, just above the previous Forestman set. Now here we have the King's Mountain Fortress for the Lion Knights. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a fan of the way this set looks like at all. The raised baseplate is cool, but I don't think they used it very well in this set. I know this is a very fan favorite set, but I'm just not a fan of it, and for that, it's gonna go in the D tier. Now we only got one set in 1991, and it's the King's Catapult. This is a really basic set, it's very small, and you get a tiny catapult. It's kind of whatever. I'm gonna put it in the F tier. There's worse sets out there, but this doesn't do anything for me. Continuing the long history of the small cart and minifigure sets, we get the Treasure Cart in 1992. I think this is a decent set. I'm just gonna pop it in the D tier. Now here we have the Dual Defender, which is kind of similar to the previous set that we already looked at. I think it's decent, but the actual build itself looks kind of bad, to be honest with you. I'm gonna put it in the bottom of the D tier, I think. Next up, we have the Black Knight's Guard Shack. This is a small Black Knight's kind of tower, I guess, with a ghost underneath it. This is an okay set, but to be honest with you, it's not that great. I'm gonna put it in the D tier. It's one of the weaker Black Knight sets in my opinion. Now here we have the very simply named Black Knight set. You get a Black Knight on horseback, and that's basically it. I mean, there's not really anything to say about this set, but I really like the box art, so it's gonna go into the top of the D tier. And now we have the long-awaited Wolfpack Renegade set. This is the classic wagon set that they had, and I love it. The blue color works really well here, and the minifigures, I mean, you know. The Wolfpack are sick. This is such a great set, and I think it belongs right next to the Forestman's Hideout. It just has that same feel to me. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a very classic feeling set, and one that I wish LEGO would remake. We now have the new version of the Wolfpack in the new minifigure that came out, so I mean, they have no reason not to do it. And continuing with the great sets that came out in 1992, we have the Sea Serpent. This is a great set. I actually made a video on it a couple of months ago. This is one that I personally own myself, and I just love it. You got a bunch of minifigures, a great looking boat with a printed sail piece, and it's going to be going in the S tier for that. I love this set a ton. I couldn't gush enough about it. Yes, the Black Knights minifigures are not the best, but this set is just so good. I love it. And continuing with the awesome sets that came out this year, we have the Wolfpack Tower. This is the Wolfpack set, and you got a ton of minifigures, a great looking fortress, and a little hidden spot on the bottom with a ghost. This is a fantastic set. I just love it. When I think of the Wolfpack, I think of this set. There have been so many fan mock remakes of this set for good reason. It's just a very classic set, and it's going in the S tier. Seriously, these two sets right here, the Sea Serpent and the Wolfpack Tower, are two of the best sets from Classic Castle in my opinion. You just can't go wrong with either of them. And again, continuing with the crazy good sets that came out in 1992, we have the Black Knights Castle. This is my favorite of the Black Knights castles. You get a really unique looking shape, a raised base plate, a ton of minifigures, a lot of horses. I mean, this is just the perfect set. I love the printed flags that you get in this set. The bigger one in the back looks awesome. You get another one of those ghosts. This is just a fantastic set, and it's our first full castle going into the S tier. It's crazy to me actually now that I'm looking at this list. Our first 3 sets to come into the S tier are all from 1992. This is one of the best years in LEGO Castle's history in my opinion. Now will the following year, 1993, live up to this? I'm gonna be honest, probably not. First up we have the Black Knights boat. This is a kind of goofy looking set. Again, you have the dragon kind of head in the front. This doesn't look as good as the previous one that we already ranked, so I'm just going to place this one in the D tier. And here we have the Ghostly Hideout, the third and final set of the Wolfpack. It is so sad that the Wolfpack got cut short with only 3 sets. And this one being the final one is honestly really sad to me because it's nothing special. I hate to say it, but this one's going in the F tier. It's really nothing. I mean, you get a very small build with a Wolfpack minifigure and a ghost. It's not great. And now we have the King's Archer. This is another really small basic set. I like the idea behind it, but the build is just really nothing special. This one's going in the F tier. And another small set for 1993, the King's Catapult. There is nothing to say about this set. It's not doing anything new, it's not doing anything special, so it's going to the F tier again. And again, another small set, we have the Battering Ram, if you could even call it that. This is such a pathetic looking set, to be honest with you. I know I've said that the Black Knights had some of the best castle sets out there, but this one is not one of them. Another one into the F tier for 1993. Now it does get a little bit better with the introduction of the Dragon Knights. This was our first set with Magisto, and you get a little kind of hidden area inside of a tree. This is not a great set, but for having Magisto for the first time, I'm gonna put it in the D tier. And now we get our first really wacky Dragon Masters set in the Dragon Defender. This is kind of a siege weapon, I guess, with a brick-built dragon head on the front that I would guess spits fire at the enemies. I think this is a cool set, and you get the Dragon Masters minifigures for the first time, which had some great prints for the time, and you also got those awesome helmets with the crazy dragon plumes. The build definitely doesn't hold up today, but it's gonna go in the C tier. Now here we have the Magisto's Magical Workshop. We obviously just got the pretty mediocre remake of this last year, and while this set is decent, I'm just not a fan of it. I know a lot of people like this set, but to me it just feels kind of bulky and doesn't do anything that special, so it's actually going to go into the F tier. It's going to go in the top of the F tier, but I'm just not a fan of it, to be honest with you. Next up is the Dragon Wagon. I kind of like the name of this set, but apart from that, I'm just not a fan of how this set looks. It's really blocky and doesn't do anything that unique. I like the idea of having a dragon inside of a kind of a closed off wagon, but it just doesn't look that good, so I'm gonna put it in the bottom of the D tier. Now on the other hand, here is the Dark Dragon's Den. I love the idea of this set. Yes, it's using a lot of those big ugly rock pieces, but it's a really cool idea, so for that, I'm gonna put it into the top of the C tier. Now here we have what I think is probably the quintessential Dragon Masters set, the Fire Breathing Fortress. Putting a brick-built dragon's head on the front gate of a castle is a really cool idea, and again, this is a 90s set, so we have a ton of these big pieces, and it's just, they don't hold up today, unfortunately. I think this is one of the better sets to use a lot of big ugly pieces, but that plague of big pieces in the 90s just really sucks to look back on. I do like this set, so I'm gonna put it in the B tier. Now to finish off 1993, we got a bit of a battle pack set. You got 4 minifigures, 3 of those being Dragon Masters, and a wolf pack figure as well. I think this is a decent minifigure pack, so I'm going to put it in the D tier. Sorry, I'm going to put it in the C tier actually. Forget that. Okay, we are now into 1994, and we have one of the many crossbow carts. We're going to get a lot more of these, so look out for that. This one's okay. It's not my favorite of the crossbow carts that was ever made, so I'm going to put it in the D tier. Next up is the Dragon Master's Chariot. I'm not a huge fan of this set, but I like the idea of it, so I'm going to put it in the D tier. And here we have Megisto's Tower. I actually really like this set. I didn't know much about it before making this video, but I really like how it looks. It uses a lot of those big pieces, but the printed dragon designs on it just look too good. This set honestly surprised me because it's very juniorized in those big pieces, but the prints look really solid, and this is a really nice looking set, and one that I think would make for a really nice remake. I'm gonna put this one, I'm gonna put it in the B tier. I'm gonna put it in the B tier. Okay, we are now into 1995, and we have another cart, this time Megisto's cart. I don't have anything to say about this set, it's going in D tier. Okay, now, this is our first Royal Knights set. If you've watched this channel before, you know what I think about these guys, but with all that being said, I actually love the box art of this set. This may be the influence of the Medieval Town Square recently coming out with the printed homage to this set, but this is just a nice box art. It looks good, you've got the king looking directly at the camera, it's a great shot, I like it. It's just a king on horseback, it's nothing special, but I really love the box art, it's going into the C tier. Next up is another Royal Knights set with the Skeleton Surprise. You get a little kind of play feature with the skeleton that comes out and a scared knight. I think it's a fun idea, and this Royal Knight figure isn't the worst. It still looks like a cosplayer, I'm not gonna lie, but it's an okay set. I'm gonna put it in the C tier. And here we have the King's Carriage. This is, I'm sorry, an ugly set. I do not like it. The minifigures are not good. The set is actually probably worse than the figures. I don't like this set at all. It's going in the F tier. Continuing with that, we have the Royal Drawbridge. What were they thinking? I think this set looks so bad, and there's a set in the fantasy era that does the same idea, but so much better. I don't like this set at all. It's going to the F tier. I'm sorry, Royal Knights fans. And here we have the Royal Knights Castle. It looks so messy. I'm sorry, it looks a mess. I don't like this set at all. Another set for the F tier for the Royal Knights. Now into 1996, we have the Dark Forest Fortress. This was the reintroduction of the Forestmen under the Dark banner. It's basically just the regular Forestmen, but with a new name. I mean, it's whatever. I have a kind of hot take when it comes to the Dark Forestmen. I feel like we should have gotten another wave of the Wolf Pack instead of these guys. This is a decent set, and I'm sure it was a fun playset for kids at the time, but I'm not a fan of it, and it kind of represents what could have been a Wolf Pack set to me, so it's gonna go in the bottom of the D tier. Next up, we have another Royal Knights set. It's a very basic boat, and it looks like it could have come out 15 years before this one, so it's gonna go in the F tier. I mean, just look at the boats that we had before. This one does nothing new. Next up, we have a couple more Dark Forestmen sets with the first up Bandit Ambush. You get a couple of Dark Forestmen and a little kind of forest fortress thing. I think this is a cool set. I don't like the Dark Forestmen personally, but this is a cool playset, I won't deny that. So I'm going to put it in the kind of middle top of the D tier. Next up, we have the Hemlock Stronghold for the Dark Forestmen. To be honest with you, I understand why somebody would like this set, but to me, it just looks really messy, and even at the time, I feel like it would look messy, but who knows. I'm going to put this one in the bottom of the D tier. Again, it's just not that special to me. Okay, we are now into 1997, and we get the introduction of the Fright Knights and Basil the Bat Lord. Our first setup for the Fright Knights is the flying machine that you get with Basil the Bat Lord. Yes, this is a weird set. It's like a kind of weird flying machine with a orb on the front of it, and you get Basil the Bat Lord for the first time, but without his cape. This is an okay set. It's obviously a very weird one, and I can understand anyone putting this in the F tier, but I love Basil, so I'm going to put it in the C tier. This might be a little high, but I like this set. Next up, we get Will of the Witch and another small set similar to the previous one. This one's a little bit more clear in its vision. You get a magical orb and a fireplace. It's really basic, but you know, it's decent for a small set. I'll put it in the D tier. Next up, we have the Stone Bomber. I feel like we've gotten this set before. It might just be deja vu at this point, but I feel like I've seen this set maybe 2 or 3 times, so it's gonna go in the F tier. There's nothing special about this set. Now, here we have another crossbow cart. I told you we were gonna be seeing more of these. This is one that I actually own personally. I think this is a decent set. You get a really nice looking minifigure, a couple of Fright Night shields, and the aforementioned crossbow cart. Again, it's nothing special, but I actually like the way this one looks, unlike some of the other crossbow carts that we'll be seeing soon. So I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Now here we have the simply named Batlord set. You got a black dragon with those translucent orange wings. There's no real build in the set, but I like the way it looks. It's a cool box art. It's going in the C tier. Now here we have kind of the first set, I would call it, for the Fright Nights. It is the Batlord's Catapult. You get a couple of Fright Nights and a horse-drawn catapult. The build is not the best, it's really basic, but for a first introduction to an actual set for the Fright Nights, I think it's decent. I'm gonna put it in the D tier. It doesn't really beat the other ones, but yeah, I don't know. This is kind of a weird placement, I guess, putting it under the other ones. It's basic, I don't know. I guess I'll put it next to it, I don't know. It's going in the C tier. Okay, next up we have one of the wackier Fright Night sets in the Witch's Wind Ship. This is a wind ship with a dragon that's on the top of it. You get halberds in the front of the wind ship with a magical orb and Will of the Witch and what looks like tail lights in the back. This is a very weird set. I don't get what they were going for when they made this set. It's unique, you can give it that, but other than that, it's really weird. I'm gonna put it in the D tier. I could understand somebody really loving this set, but I could also understand somebody absolutely despising it, so I don't know. Next up, we have the Trader's Transport. This one, I've said before, is probably the most cohesive looking design from the Fright Nights theme. You get Basil on horseback with a barding on a horse, and a decent looking wagon with a dragon pulling it. This is a weird set, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, all of the Fright Nights sets are weird, but I think this is the best looking of them so far. So I'm gonna put it in the top of the C tier. Okay. Now we have the Witch's Magic Manor. This set sucks. There's nothing else to say. This is a really ugly set. It's almost made up completely of the big ugly rock pieces. You get a helicopter for Will of the Witch. I mean, it's an awful set. One of the worst ones I think that has ever come out of any LEGO Castle theme. Bottom of the F tier. I could honestly make its own section in this tier list, like below F. It's that bad. And next up, we have the Night Lord's Castle. It was the flagship castle for the Fright Nights, and it's probably the tallest castle set ever made. I don't know if that's still true, but it definitely was at the time. This set doesn't look the best, you know, I won't lie. It's definitely a product of its time. I mean, you can give it that, but I don't like the way it looks. The first half of it looks pretty solid, but once it gets into that tower in the back, it just looks really messy. You do get the nice Fright Nights flag in this, but it's not great, I won't lie. I'm gonna put it in the C tier next to the other kind of bottom tier Fright Night sets. It's not better than the Fright Nights Transport, it's definitely better than the Witch's Magic Manor, but again, it just suffers from being a set from the 90s, unfortunately. This is a set that I think they could remake and really do it justice with modern pieces, but as it stands, it's just not that special. Okay, now we're into 1998. This was kind of the end of the Fright Nights theme, unfortunately. They got a couple more smaller sets. I don't want to waste any more time talking about these. They're really basic. They're gonna go next to all the other Fright Nights sets in the C tier. This is a long enough video as is, so I don't need to waste time talking about those sets. Now we have a weird one. I've never actually heard of this set before now, but it's called the Crazy Lego King. I don't know. This is a weird set. I hadn't heard of it before making this video. I'm gonna put it in the B tier just because I really like the name of the set. I don't know if that's an official name or not, but I think it's a cool set. Now, this is going to be contentious for some people, I feel like. This is the ninja sub-theme of Castle. This one's called the Master and Heavy Gun. I don't know how you would call this a gun. It's a catapult, if anything. And you get the first ninja character in a Castle set with a really cool looking helmet that I believe is actually still used to this day. The build for this set is not great, so I'm going to put it in the D tier. I like some of the ninja sets, but this is not one of them. Next up, we have the Ninpo Water Spider. I think it's a unique looking set, and you get a very cool looking ninja, so I'm gonna put this one in the C tier, I think. It's an odd set, I won't lie. Now next up, we have the Ninpo Big Bat. It's a kind of glider, I guess, with two of the black wing pieces from the dragons. I don't know. It's a cool idea, and you get a cool ninja minifigure, but I don't know. I'm gonna put it in the D tier. Next up is the Samurai Swordsman. This is a really cool looking minifigure, and you get that kind of banner on the horse. Again, it's not that unique. We've gotten a ton of sets with a king or knights on horseback, but I like this minifigure a lot, so I'm gonna put it in the D tier somewhere. And here we have a couple more of those small Fright Night sets. This Battle Pack one is kind of cool, I guess. I'll put this one in the C tier, and the other one's gonna go in the... Actually, you know what? The Battle Pack looking set, I'm gonna put a little bit higher up on the C tier, because I do like this set more than the other ones. And it has a cool name, being the Fright Force. I like the name of that set. Here is another ninja set called the Treasure Transport. I think I actually have this set. I got it in a lot a couple of years ago. It's cool. You get some decent minifigures, but the build is nothing special. I like the chain wrapped around the treasure, I guess, but it's nothing special. Next up, we have the Ninja Surprise with a very ugly looking, I guess, fortress, house, I don't know what that is, and a glider, this time with some printed kind of plastic vinyl pieces, I think. With the ninja theme, you get cool minifigures, but the builds just suffer from that kind of 90s gross big piece look. Not a fan of this set. I'm gonna put it in the F tier, actually. Now this is our first substantial ninja set in the Samurai Stronghold. Again, it's using a lot of big pieces like all the other sets from this era, but I think this is a pretty solid looking set. I like the decoration, fish pieces on the top, and it's a solid looking idea, but you know, it's whatever. I'm gonna put this one, I think in the C tier actually. I think that this is a solid looking set. Now this one, the Robber's Retreat, is not a very solid looking set. The green roof is a choice. I'm not a fan of the choice, but it is one. I'm not a fan. It looks ugly. The big pieces, not a fan. Going in the F tier. Now the Stone Tower Bridge, I really love this set a lot. It's probably because of the printed window piece, or that might be a sticker. No, it's a printed piece. I like the roof design on the front gate. It's reminiscent of the Wolfpack Tower because of that kind of bridge that leads to the main set. This is one of the better ninja sets now that I'm looking at it. I really like this one. I'm gonna put this one in the top of this, like middle top of the C tier, I think. Now, here we have the Flying Ninjas Fortress. I think they might have been kind of finding their footing with these last two sets. I don't like this set a ton, but it's definitely better looking than some of the other ninja sets, so I'll put it somewhere in the C tier. Now moving into 1999, we have the Shanghai Surprise. This is a pretty cool looking boat set. You get a kind of shogun or, I don't know, higher ranking samurai in the back with a couple of ninjas in the front and a very small dock portion. I think this is a cool set. It's definitely not the best, but I like this one decently. I'm going to put this one in the top of the D tier. Next we have the simply named White Ninja set with a small cart. This is nothing. I mean, come on. Let's go into the F tier. Next up is the Blaze Attack. You get a siege weapon with a cannon in the middle of it and a flamethrower cart, it looks like. This is a cool idea. I like what they were going for with this. It doesn't look the best, mind you, but it's decent. I'm gonna put it in the D tier. Next up, we have the Ninja Fire Fortress. This is a pretty cool idea. You get a fortress with a cannon in the bottom floor, a couple of printed pieces, which is nice, but again, it doesn't look that good. It's kind of sloppy looking. I'm gonna put it in the D tier. Continuing the kind of sloppy look, here we have the Emperor's Stronghold. I'm not a fan. These ninja sets are honestly really hit or miss for me. And that continues with this very small cart set. I like the katanas on the front, the figure's cool, but it's nothing. I mean, these ninja sets are just honestly really basic. Next up, we have the Red Ninja's Dragon Glider. This set honestly looks really, really bad. I don't like this piece in the front. I don't know what they were trying to go for with that. It looks very off. Not a fan. That's going in the F tier. Honestly, now that I'm going through all these ninja sets, like for the first time really, I'm kind of thinking that these might be worse than the Royal Knights. These sets are just really, really not good. Next, we have the Ninja Master's boat. Again, it's just a very basic boat. I'm really sick of these ninja sets. I'm going to be placing, I think, most of these in the F tier. I'm not liking these at all. I'm sorry, ninja fans, if there's any of you out there. Thankfully, we can now move on from the ninjas into the, I guess this would be Knight's Kingdom 1, correct? I think. These themes really kind of get lost. This theme is kind of contentious with pretty much everyone in the LEGO Castle sphere. First up, we have King Leo's Spear Cart. This is another cart set. I'm not a fan. It's going to the F tier. Next up, we have Richard's Arrow Seat, which is basically a crossbow cart, so it's going to the F tier. It looks really bad. But I will give it to this set. The minifigure is actually really nice for the time. I love this torso print, and the leg print is also really solid. I like this minifigure quite a bit, but the set does not save it any points. Next, we have the Bullfire's Attack. Now, I really love the Bull Knights. I think they're really underrated. Their shields are great, their minifigures are really great, but the set's not so great. This one's going in the F tier. Now, the Bull Knights were kind of known as the siege weapons masters, I think, in my opinion. They got a lot of siege sets. I didn't get any full castles, so I think that's why they kind of have that image in my mind. Again, I really like these minifigures. They look solid. They're kind of a almost neoclassic castle look. This is a really basic looking catapult. We've gotten better ones in the 80s, and that 20-year gap, there's no improvement on the look of this set. This one's gonna unfortunately have to go in the F tier. Now next up, we have some kind of unique looking minifigure packs. I think these all came out in between the years 2000 and 2001. I know LEGO Star Wars also got some of these, and they're kind of cool. I do like the green ninjas that came from this set, but there's nothing special about these. They're gonna go in the D and F tier. These green ninjas, by the way, are surprisingly expensive. Like, they go for, I think, over 100 on eBay. Next up, we have another cart. This one is a axe and crossbow cart, so we get a little combination there. I'm not a fan of it. It's not great. It looks worse than the Fright Nights one, so it's gonna go in the bottom of the D tier. And on the lion side of Knights Kingdom 1, we actually got a better looking catapult than the Bull Knights had with this set. I think it's an okay looking set. I'm gonna put this one in the C tier. No, it's going in the top of the D tier. It's not quite in the C tier for me. And then we also have the Dungeon set. This is awful. There's nothing going on in this set that's unique. It's very basic looking. The chrome piece is cool. If you didn't know, in Knights Kingdom, if you bought a lot of the sets, you could get different chromed out pieces, like a chrome shield, a chrome chest plate here, a chrome sword, I believe. It was a cool idea, but this set kind of sucks. It's going in the F tier. Next up is a Dragon Rider Bull Knight here with the chromed out helmet, as I was talking about. This is a wannabe Batlord set. I'm not a fan, going in the F tier. I like the figure a lot. The figure's great, but this is nothing. And now we have the Bull's Attack Wagon. This is a kind of beefed up version of the crossbow carts that we've gotten. I like the chrome shield a lot. I think this is a decent looking Bull Knight set. It's probably my favorite one they've shown so far. I'll put this one in the C tier. Sorry, no, I'm gonna put it in the D tier. It's not quite C tier worthy. And next up we have King Leo. It's a very basic set. I think I actually have this one myself. The figures are not the best, but the print quality is a lot better than previous years, so I guess I'll put it in the D tier, somewhere in the D tier, like middle of the pack. And then here we have, actually, I think a pretty solid Bull Knight set. This is the Catapult Crusher, which is a cool name, I guess. You get a pretty decent looking catapult with a horse barding head piece on the front of it, and a lot of accessories for the knight in the set. Oh my god, and I'm just noticing this now. It also has crossbows attached to it, so I guess you could call this another entry into the crossbow carts. This one's pretty decent looking. I'm gonna put this one in the C tier. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the C tier. It's on par with the Fright Nights kind of small sets. Now, here we have King Leo's castle. I'm gonna be honest, I actually like this set. Yes, it's using a lot of big pieces, but if you kind of stand back and look at this set objectively, it looks pretty nice. I feel like if I had this set in person and I had it on a shelf, I would actually really love it. This set just has a really nice silhouette to it. It's kind of almost like a Disney looking castle. It's got a very classic kind of fantasy castle look to it that I like. The best part of this set though is the printed stained glass piece that you have at the top of the tower. This piece shows up in a couple of other sets, I think. I think one coming up soon, we'll see it again. It's a different castle, which I appreciate. A lot of LEGO castles kind of follow the same formula, and this one doesn't do that, so I appreciate that. I'm gonna put this one, I'm gonna put this one in the B tier. I think this is a decent castle. I know a lot of people don't like this set, but it has a nice silhouette. It looks good. I'm putting it in the B tier. It deserves it. Next up, we have the Guarded Treasure. This one is a decent looking play set. I like the idea behind it. I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Next up, we have a Royal Joust set, and again, you can see that I think it's the same. Yeah, it looks like the same stained glass piece from the full castle. It's an okay set. It's not the best joust set. It's kind of got a weird play function in it where that thing in the middle spins. It's okay. I'm gonna put it D tier. It's nothing great. Now, here we have my favorite Bull Knights set and the last set for the Bull Knights that we ever got. This is the Bull's Attack. It is basically a siege engine kind of battle pack, I guess. You got a siege tower and battering ram combo, a catapult, a spring-loaded shooter that you could push, a horse with a couple of halberds on it. I think this is a cool set. Yes, it doesn't look the best, but it's a really great concept for a set and one that I hope LEGO revisits. I'm gonna put this one in the B tier. It's not the best looking, but it is a solid idea. I like it. Okay, so now for the next couple of years, we wouldn't really get any actual LEGO Castle sets. They did re-release a few sets like the Black Falcon's Fortress, the Guarded Inn, and a few others, I think. But we did, in 2002, get the Blacksmith Shop set. This is actually a fan design that became an official set, so you can kind of look at it as a kind of precursor to the Ideas system that would come way later. You can kind of tell that this set is fan-made. It looks like a set that would be in somebody's world in the late 90s, early 2000s. I like the way it looks. It's a cool set. It's fan designed. I like all that about it. It's going in the B tier. I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to put it next to the original Blacksmith set that he was inspired by. And now, in 2004, the next castle theme would come out in Knight's Kingdom 2. Everybody hates this theme. There are some people that like it, I know. It had some cool sets. I actually like a couple of sets from this theme, but there's a lot to go over in this theme, unfortunately, and a lot of them are construction figures. I don't like these. I'm not a Bionicle guy. These aren't for me. I'm sorry to fans of construction. These are all going in F tier. I think they look horrible. Not a fan at all. I'm just gonna kind of blaze through all these. Here we have the King Leo construction figure. It had a printed face on it that just looks so gross. I hate these sets. If there was a tier below F, I would place all of these. I don't like these sets at all. They're so goofy looking. Okay, I think nope, that's not all of them. There's still more. There's so many of these. Okay, I think we got them all. Yeah, I'm sorry. If you're a fan of these figures, good for you. I think they look awful. Now, our first system scale set from Knight's Kingdom 2 was called Vladik Encounter. You got the Purple Knight Jaco and Vladik. Vladik is the best part of Knight's Kingdom 2. I don't think that's controversial to say. His sets were the best part of the theme, and I really like them. This, unfortunately, is a really basic set. I'm gonna put it in the top of the F tier, like middle top. It's not great, but you know, it is what it is. Next up, we have the Border Ambush. We have the red Bear Knight and a Vladik Soldier. I like the way this set looks. I like the spiked kind of bridge across. It almost looks like a training area. I think it's a cool set. It doesn't look the best on display, but I'm gonna put it in the D tier. Not the worst set ever from this theme. This one, on the other hand, the Grand Tournament, I do not like at all. The mechanical horses that they ride is a kind of cool idea, and I imagine as a kid this would be a fun play function. I just don't like how it looks. It's going in the F tier. Now here we have the Citadel of Orlan. I think I pronounced that correctly. This is a decent set. It's a really weird set. It's kind of like a training grounds where you have all this stuff on the inside of the castle. Very cool as a play set, but it just looks really bad on the outside. It's gonna go in the F tier. I'm sorry. I know the play functions were cool, but I'm just not a fan. Now here we have the main castle of Knight's Kingdom 2, the Castle of Morcia. It has a cool name, I'll give it that, but the overall look of this set and the silhouette of it just doesn't look good. I'm not a fan. You get a lot of minifigures, which is decent, I guess, but I just don't like it. I'm sorry, it's going in the F tier. Okay, now, here we have one of these sets that I actually love from Knight's Kingdom 2. This is Vladik's Siege Engine. You get a battering ram with a chrome gold piece on the front and a siege tower on the next level up. I think this is a great set. It looks great. That black color looks so nice with the scorpion sigil. This is a cool set. You get Vladik and a soldier of Vladik with the scorpion prince on the front. I think this one actually deserves to go in the B tier. This might be controversial, but I think this is a B tier set. Now next up we have the Knight's Castle Wall. This is not a B tier set. It doesn't do anything new or special. It honestly looks worse than some of these sets from the 80s, so for that it's going to the F tier. I'm not a fan of this set. Now moving into 2005, I'm pretty sure that this is the last year of Knight's Kingdom 2, and we got a lot of polybags in this year. Not a fan of any of these. They're polybags, they're cool for what they are, but again, not that interesting. Now we do have the Knight's Attack Barge, which I actually like quite a bit. It's pretty unique for the time, and I don't think any set has quite matched this look. The minifigures kind of suck. I'm not a fan of them personally, but this is a decent set. I'll put it in the C tier. It's a lot more unique than a lot of the other boats that we got, and I like how it looks. Okay, next up we have the Dark Fortress Landing. This is probably one of the better sets from this theme. It's obviously for Vladik and the Scorpion Knights, and I think it looks really solid. I think this is a great looking set. I'm gonna put it in the middle top of the C tier. Now this Fireball Catapult, on the other hand, this is another basic set from this theme. I don't like it. I'm gonna put it in the F tier. This Battle Wagon though, I actually really like. I hadn't really seen it before making this video, but I think it's a really cool idea. It's a little wacky, which I kind of like, but it's a cool looking set. I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Now here we have the King's Siege Tower. This is kind of just a worse version of the Vladik Siege Tower. I like siege towers, but this one is just not very good looking. The Lion Shield thing is a cool piece, but I don't like the way it looks here. I'm gonna put it in the bottom of the D tier. Now here we have the Scorpion Prison Cave. This is a unique set. I think I might have actually had this one as a kid, but I can't quite remember. It's kind of cool, but I also don't like it that much. I'm gonna put this one in the D tier. It's okay, but also not. I don't know. Now here we have Vladik's Dark Fortress. This is a really cool set. It's a little edgy in that kind of 2000s way. I like the way it looks. It's pretty cool. The big sword Technic Bionicle pieces on the front was a cool idea. I don't know. I like this set. It's not the best looking. The silhouette is okay. I'm gonna put this one in the top of the D tier. This is a cool set. You know what? No, I'm not gonna put it in the D tier. This one's going to the C tier. Okay, so now in 2006, there are a couple more Knights Kingdom 2 sets, and we actually got some different factions in this wave, and I like that they did that. They kind of did a soft reset for the theme, and we got some cool sets out of it. Here we have the Battle at the Pass. This obviously brought the Rogue Knights in for the first time, better known as the Naked Knights. They had the yellow body parts just kind of shown out. Weird, but I don't know what they were going for with that. I do like the shields a lot. They're in bright light orange and have a cool dragon design on them, but we need to talk about the set itself. This is a cool looking section of a wall. I like the way it looks. The gold accents are nice, and it was definitely inspired by the Lord of the Rings movie that came out at the time. I'm actually going to put this one in the B tier. I think this is actually a little underrated as a set. I'm going to put it below the Vladic Siege Engine though. Next we have another cool set from the Rogue Knights. We have the Rogue Knight Battleship. You got some white and yellowish dragon wings as the sails for the ship, and a pretty awful looking tower as well. But this is a cool set. I like the way it looks. This one's going in the top of the C tier. I really think these sets are super underrated for what they are. People just kind of overlook them because of how bad the minifigures are. Now we do have the Gargoyles Bridge, which is a very basic set. Really not much to say about the set at all. It looks very dated, even though it only came out like 20 years ago. Not a fan. It's going in the F tier. And here we have the Mistlands Tower, which is our last Rogue Knight set, I believe. It's okay, it's very blocky looking, but I like the idea behind it. It's gonna go in the bottom of the C tier. There's better Rogue Knight sets. Get the Battle at the Pass if you're wanting to get a Rogue Knight set. Now here's a kind of puzzling set. I'm a little confused by this one, but yeah. It's using older factions in it, but it came out years later. It's not a remake as far as I know. It kind of looks like the King Leo's Castle or whatever that set was called, but I don't know. It's okay. I'm gonna put it in the D tier. Now here we have Vikings. This is a little weird to include here as it's not under the castle sub-theme banner, but it kind of is in the community, so I chose to include it here. First up, we have the Viking Warrior challenges the Fenris Wolf. That is a mouthful of a set name, but the set itself is pretty cool looking. The Vikings theme was kind of plagued or helped out by, depending on the way you look at it, by the Technic and Bionicle pieces that it used, but it made for a very kind of recognizable look for the theme, and I liked that they did that. It definitely gave the beasts from this theme a more mechanical look, but I think it kind of works here. Now the Viking minifigures from this theme were fantastic and honestly way ahead of their time in my opinion. The face prints and the torso prints just looked great, and I actually had a couple of these sets as a kid, so I'm kind of biased towards them. I'm gonna put this one in the C tier. It was a cool set. Now here we have what I would probably call the best value Viking set. Like if you were to go out and want to get one of the classic Viking sets today, I'd probably recommend you get this one. You got two really great Viking minifigures and a cool mythical beast along with a Viking ship. This is just a great set. It's small, it's affordable, it looks great. This is a cool set. I actually think it deserves to go in the B tier, and I'm gonna put it fairly high up on the B tier. It is a decent looking set. Next up we have the Viking Catapult versus the Nidhogg Dragon. Now I like the dragon from this set quite a lot, but the catapult itself, I'm not a fan. It's a little weird looking. I do like the big Viking shield on the front of it, but it's not my favorite. I'm gonna put this one in the C tier. Next up we have the Viking Double Catapult versus the Armored Ofnir Dragon. Man, these set names are hard to say, oh my god. So with this set, we got a very kind of armored looking dragon and a very, very cool looking catapult. It's almost kind of like a trebuchet kind of, but it looks great. I love the dragon skull on the front of it, and all the printed pieces in this set just look really great. Yes, it has a lot of the Technic pieces that a lot of people don't like, myself included, but this is a cool set. I'm gonna put this one in the top of the C tier. It's a pretty cool set. Next up, we actually have a set that I remember having as a kid, the Army of Vikings with Heavy Artillery Wagon. This, I'm pretty sure, was the only Viking set to not come with a mythical beast, and I kind of like that about it. You got a bunch of different Vikings, all with different shields, and a very cool looking siege weapon. I like this a lot. I mean, yes, I'm biased. I had this set as a kid. It was one of the first sets I ever got. I'm gonna put it in the B tier. I'm gonna put it next to the other Viking set. Now here we have the most memorable set from the theme. The Viking ship challenges the Midgard Serpent. We obviously just got a remake of this set a couple of years ago, and it did this set so much justice. It just looks a lot better than this original set, but this set itself is no slouch. It got that great printed sail and a lot of minifigures with shields. This is a cool set. I think it's another one for the B tier, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm gonna put it above the other two Viking sets. And for our last Viking set, we have the Viking Fortress against Fafnir Dragon. A lot of people love this set. And I get it. It's a big play set with a lot of walls, a dragon, tons of minifigures. I get why people like it. I personally don't really like it that much. I don't know what it is, I'm just not a fan of this set. The dragon is pretty decent looking, but the fortress itself, I'm just not a fan of. I don't know. Might be a hot take, but this one's going in the... yeah, it's going in the C tier. I'm not that big of a fan of it. Now, entering 2007, we got my childhood castle theme, Fantasy Era. This theme I have a lot of good memories of, so I'm going to be very biased towards a lot of these sets. I think this was the kind of reinvigoration that Castle needed, bringing in all the weird fantasy elements. I just really feel like this was what brought Castle back after a long period of just very mediocre sets from the 90s. To start off the fantasy era of Castle, we got the Final Joust. This was a skeleton knight with an undead horse versus one of the crown knights. I love the dark blue and the gold accents everywhere. I don't know why the knight is jousting a skeleton, who knows, but this is a cool set. I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Next up, we have the skeleton ship attack. This is one that I wish I had as a kid. The skeleton ship just looks so cool with all the black and dark red. The sail is really cool and it fits the skeleton super well. The dock that you had for the Crown Knights looked great. The catapult that you got, this is just a great playset. I love what they did with this. Fantastic set. This one's going to the B tier. I'm gonna put this one actually above the... I'm gonna put this one at the top of the B tier. I like this set that much. Next up, we have the Dwarves Mine. This is one of the fan favorite sets from this theme. I love it. I didn't have it as a kid, but it brought the trolls for the very first time into Castle. I believe this set was the first time we got a real big fig, if you don't count the rock monsters from that fake Power Miners theme from the 90s. This is just a great set. For that, I'm going to put this one in the B tier. It's going to go middle of the pack. I like it. It's a cool set. Next up, we have the Crossbow Attack set. I told you we were going to keep seeing these. Now, this was more of a ballista set more than a crossbow set, but because of that name, I'm sorry, this one's going to the D tier. I'm tired of these crossbow sets. The Fright Knights did it best. Get out of here. Next, we have the Skeleton's Prison Carriage. This was a cool set. You get a bunch of skeletons with it, even a black skeleton, a cool looking carriage, and you also get a Crown Knight. I'm putting this one in, I think, top of the C tier. Next, we have the Knight's Catapult Defense. This set is okay. It's a nice smaller set. You get 2 skeletons, 2 Crown Knights. It's a decent small set. I'm going to put this one in the C tier as well. Now, here we have what I think is the quintessential skeleton set that you could have gotten as a kid. You got a really nice looking molded dragon, a very cool looking skeleton fortress with that skull in the front with the jaw piece as the kind of drawbridge entrance to the set. You got an evil wizard with a tower, a crown knight to attack the castle, a princess inside of a bone prison. This is a cool set. This one is going right into the top of the B tier, just below the skeleton ship. And our last fantasy era set from 2007 was the King's Castle Siege. This was a return to form for the classic castle looking set. You can see the inspiration from the sets that came out in the 80s. It just looks like a great set. Again, you got a molded dragon, a ton of minifigures and accessories, perfect playset for kids, a decent display set for adults. I like this set a lot. I'm gonna put it in the B tier. I don't like it as much as the skeleton sets, but it's going right at the top. Okay, now in 2008, we did get quite a few of these smaller, like polybag small box sets. I'm gonna put most of these in the D tier. They're cool, but I mean, they're not doing anything that crazy. I do like the Good Wizards set. You get a cool sand blue minifigure, which I'm a fan of. I'll bump that into the C tier because of that. But again, a lot of these are just really small. I'm gonna put them in the D tier. Now, here is where we get the trolls. These sets are so memorable to me. I didn't have most of them, but I remember seeing these sets at stores. They're so cool looking. Our first one is the Tower Raid, where we get a siege tower and a tower for the Crown Knights. This is a cool set. I wish I had it as a kid. I'm gonna put it in the bottom of the B tier. Next up, we have a set that I actually had called the Troll Assault Wagon. This is a pretty weird set. You get these tendrils on the wagon that are the same skin color as the trolls. I don't know what that's about, but it's kind of eerie. I like it a little bit. It's kind of weird. The troll kind of carries the wagon with him. It's a cool looking set. It's weird. It's everything I love about the trolls from this theme. I'm gonna put it at the... yeah, I'm gonna put it just above the other set that we just looked at. Next up, we have the Troll Battle Wheel. This is such a weird set. It's everything I love about the trolls. It's weird. You have 2 trolls running to make the battle wheel go. It's a very cool set. It's very wacky. I know why people don't like this set, but I personally love it. It's going to the B tier. Now next up, taking a little break from the trolls, we have the Dwarves Mine Defender. This is a small dwarf set. You get a catapult and a kind of like digger function in the front. I'm not sure quite what it is. I think I actually had this set as a kid. You got 2 trolls with it with a little banner. It's small, it's affordable, I like it a lot. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of the C tier. Now, next up, we got one of the best, I make no exaggeration in saying this, one of the best castle sets to ever come out. The Troll Warship. These sails are just so cool looking. The unique shape is great. You got a green molded dragon with a crown knight on top of it, a troll big fig, a ton of different troll characters, a couple of small boats for the trolls, oars, shields, a little jail cell. I love this set so much. It is so cool. This one is going straight into the S tier. I'm gonna put it, it's going at the top of the S tier. Forget it. So far, my favorite castle set that we have looked at. I really want to get this set. It's pretty expensive to get on the aftermarket, but it is so nice, and I really want to have it on my shelf. Next, we have the Trolls Mountain Fortress. Now, this is a pretty cool set, but to be honest with you, it's probably my least favorite troll set. I do like the idea of the kind of dilapidated fortress that they have, but I don't think it really translates very well. I'm not a big fan of it. It's still a decent set. I won't, it's not a bad set at all, but it's a little bit of a misfire in my opinion. I'm gonna put it kind of middle of the pack C tier. Next up, we have a very nice set, and the better version of that Royal Knights set from the 90s. This is the Drawbridge Defense. It is a really solid looking drawbridge defense set. You get the drawbridge, obviously, a little ramp up to it, and the tower itself. Lots of great minifigures in this set. Lots of them are really expensive nowadays, which sucks. I'm gonna put this one in the B tier. Next up, we have the King's Battle Chariot. You got a couple of unique looking trolls, a chariot, a king, and a soldier. This is a great set. That dark blue and gold color scheme just worked so well for the Crown Knights. I'm gonna put this one in the B tier. Again, so many of these sets just are so solid looking to me. Yes, I'm biased, but I just feel like these sets aged so well. It's been about 15 years since most of these sets come out, and I think they still hold up really well. Our final main set from this theme is the Medieval Market Village. This is obviously the inspiration behind the new medieval town square, and this set still holds up so well. You got a ton of peasant minifigures, a couple of crown knights, a ton of animals, and some great looking buildings. This is a classic set, and it's going into the S tier. I am going to put it below the Troll Warship. I just love that set too much. Now, we did get a couple of more sets from Fantasy Era, like this Advent Calendar. You got some cool minifigures in it, not that crazy. I'm gonna put it in the D tier. And then we also got a bunch of accessory packs for the different factions. These are okay, but nothing special. I'm gonna put these in the C tier. We are now jumping up into Kingdoms. This is probably the best non-fantasy, just basic castle theme that there is. These are just fantastic looking builds. Let's get into it. First up, we have the flagship castle called the King's Castle for the Red Lion Knights. This is a solid looking castle. You can see the inspirations from the 80s sets. I'm gonna put this one into the A tier. Very solid castle. Next up, we have the Prison Tower Rescue. This is a very nice set. I love the brown, dark green, and black color scheme of it. It matches the green dragon so well. You get some fantastic minifigures, a lot of shields and accessories, a barding for the Red Lions. This is a great set. I'm gonna put this one, I think, yeah, this one's going in the S tier. This is a very solid set. Now here we have the Outpost Attack. This set is not as good as the other ones. It's a little lackluster in my opinion. Probably one of my least favorite ones from Kingdoms. It's gonna go in the C tier. Next we have the Prison Carriage Rescue. Again, this is a small set, so you can kind of forgive it for being not the best, but I'm gonna put it in the C tier. It's decent. Next up we have a kind of 1v1 battle pack set called the Knights Showdown. You get a couple of little builds and 2 minifigures. It's okay, nothing special, going in the C tier. Now we did get another advent calendar, which I wish they would still bring back today. You got some cool minifigures, some small builds, but again, it's nothing that special. I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Now, there was a lot of these small box sets, again, similar to the Fantasy Era sets. This is the Court Jester set, which I'm pretty sure I had as a kid. I definitely have this minifigure today. It's decent. I actually like the build quite a bit. I'm gonna put this one at near the top of the S tier. Sorry, not the S tier, the C tier. It's decent. Next up we have the Wizard, another small box set. I think this one's pretty solid. I'm gonna put this one next to the Jester. And now we also have a couple of small poly bags. Again, these aren't anything special. I'm gonna drop these into the D tier, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna put these in the D tier. And then we also got some battle packs. Now these didn't come with a build, but they had a lot of minifigures, and that's just a nice thing to see. Since the Kingdoms minifigures were so good, I'm gonna have to put these in the bottom of the B tier. Yeah, bottom of the B tier. Again, there's no build to these, but getting these really fantastic minifigures at a cheap price was a nice thing to get. We're now moving forward into 2011, one of the last years of the Kingdoms line, but probably the best year for it. In this year, we got the Blacksmith attack up first. This is a very small set, but it plays homage to the original Blacksmith set, more so than any other Blacksmith that we've gotten, so I'm going to put this one in the B tier. Next up, we got the Escape from Dragon's Prison. This is a great looking set with a small wall, a little siege weapon, very small siege weapon, and the Green Dragon barding that just looks so good. I love this set. I really need to part this one out again. This is a great set. I'm going to put it in the B tier. Next up, we have the King's Carriage Ambush. This is a great looking set. You got the smaller gold wheel in the front, the big one in the back. This is one of the best looking castle carriages that we've gotten. You got a decent selection of minifigures as well, and a little suggestion of a forest around it. This is a nice set. I'm going to put this one in the B tier as well. Next up is the Mill Village Raid, one of the most notorious sets maybe of all time. You got a really cool looking peasant scene with a lot of peasants, a couple of dragon knights attacking, and you also got a litany of fantastic looking animals with the gray horse, chickens, the pig, and the 2 goats. That's why this set is so notorious. It gave us the goat mold for the one and only time until very recently. This is a great set, a notorious set, a really nice looking one with a ton of great accessories and minifigures. This one's joining the Dragon Tower in the S tier. And for our final year of Kingdoms in 2012, we got the Kingdoms Joust. This set people absolutely adore. It is a fantastic looking display model that can also be used as a play set. It's a fantastic set, probably objectively the best set from Kingdoms, so for that, I'm going to put it in the S tier. I think getting 3 sets in the S tier for any theme at all is a really good showing. Congrats to Kingdoms, I love this theme a ton. Unfortunately, we now have to move on to Castle 2013. This theme cut short what could have been another wave of sets for Kingdoms. I do not know why LEGO released this theme, but we did get some decent minifigures from it, so there's that silver lining. First up, we have the Forest Ambush. This is basically a battle pack set with 2 red dragons and 2 blue lions. It's a nice battle pack, I'll give it that. If LEGO made a set like this today with 2 Black Falcons and 2 Lion Knights for 20 bucks, I would be a huge fan of that, so I'll put it in the B tier. Next up is the Gold Getaway. This is currently my favorite set from the theme. It's a nice small set, you get some great minifigures, a nice little build, it's a solid set. I'm going to put this one in the B tier right next to the Battle Pack. Next up, we have the Gatehouse Raid. You get the really nice Red Dragon barding in this set, some good minifigures, and a pretty mediocre build. I'm not a fan of this Gatehouse. It doesn't do anything special. It doesn't look that much better than sets that we got 10 years before this one. I'm not a big fan. I'm gonna put it bottom of the C tier. The big saving grace with these themes was the minifigures. The quality of the prints was just so much better than pretty much anything we had before it. Now next up, we have the Dragon Mountain. This is a set that I actually really want to get and review. You get a small tower, a molded dragon, and a lot of minifigures. I definitely would have liked this set a lot more if you got more red dragons, but it is what it is. This is a decent set. I'm gonna, for now, put this one in the C tier. I might rank this one higher if I was able to build it and see it in person, but for now, it's going in the C tier. And the last real set from Castle 2013 is the King's Castle. This is one of the most basic castle sets ever made. It doesn't do anything new, it's very basic, not a big fan of it. I'm gonna put it in the C tier. If you had this set as a kid, I could see you having this one a lot higher in your rankings, but I have no attachment to this, it just looks pretty basic. Now in 2014, we did get 2 accessory sets for these 2 factions. They're basically battle packs, but nothing special. I'm gonna put them in C tier as well. Now, Castle went on a long hiatus after this. We obviously got the Nexo Knights in 2016, but that doesn't really count. I don't think any Castle fan would ever count that. Now, the next set that we got was in 2016, but it was kind of a anniversary set. It was called the Classic Knights minifigures. You got a couple of different minifigures and a small build. This is not even really a real set. I'm gonna put this in the F tier. I get why they released this, but I don't know. Now, the hiatus of Castle lasted all the way up until 2021 when we got 2 sets. We got the Ideas Blacksmith and the 3-in-1 Castle. These 2 sets single-handedly brought back the theme from the dead, and it's what got me into Castle back in 2022. These 2 sets definitely brought in a ton of new Castle fans. I'm sure a lot of you watching this video, if anyone's still watching this video, I don't know, this is a super long video. If you're a new Castle fan, you got into it because of these 2 sets. They brought the Black Falcon minifigures back. They are both fantastic builds. There's a ton of rebrickable models for both these sets. These are both going in the S tier. I don't care what you think. These are great sets. They revived the theme from the dead. Both going to the top of the S tier. Fantastic sets. Now in 2022, we had arguably an even better year for Castle, with the Forest Hideout that came out pretty early in the year, I believe in spring. This is the remake of the classic set that I think I put in the B tier, yes I did. This one is a great set, it is the perfect GWP, though this would have been better as a $25 to $35 set. Even so, I'm going to put this one in the A tier, it is a great remake. Next up, we got the Viking remake for the Viking and Midgard Serpent set. This is a great set, and I actually don't have it as of right now. I do need to buy it. Unfortunately, the price has gone up a little bit on the aftermarket, but I'll eventually get my hands on it. This is a really solid set, and it's going to go in the B tier. And then in 2022, August of 2022, we got the Lion Knights Anniversary set. This castle is hands down the best castle ever released. Nobody can argue with that. I don't see any way you could. You got a ton of minifigures, a fantastic build, a great building experience, tons of Easter eggs, tons of hidden references. I love this set. Everyone loves this set. Go on top of the S tier. You cannot put it anywhere else. Next up, we have the Viking Village, one of the best price sets of all time. I don't think that's controversial to say. You got some really solid minifigures and a fantastic build. This is one of the best sets that we've gotten in recent years, definitely going into the A tier. Now, there was a bit of a dip down with the Magisto GWP. I'm not a fan of this set. It's not very good looking. The minifigures are really mediocre. Honestly, I think this is a D tier set. The Dragon Master Torso remake is okay, but it's not the best. And finally, the most recent castle set that we have, the Medieval Town Square. This set brought us the new Wolfpack figure, which is a fantastic fig and one that I cannot wait to come to PAB. And we also got a bunch of new peasant torsos, which will be great for building out your castle world. The builds themselves are a little contentious, with the builds on the left looking a little odd, and the ones on the right having some weird color choices, but overall, I love the build a ton. The building experience itself is great, and I love this set. It's going at the bottom of the S tier. So this is my finalized list. This was a crazy long video. I've never done an unscripted video like this before, so I hope this was even slightly watchable. I'm sorry if it wasn't, but I had a ton of fun going over this list. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can make a list of yourself. All the sets are in here. You can make one for yourself. They're done in chronological order, super easy to do. Tag me in your tier list on Instagram if you'd like, tag me on YouTube, whatever. I'd love to see where you guys rank everything. Thank you so much for watching this video if you're still here. I love making these videos. I really appreciate all of you that watch this. Thank you so much. See ya.